You stand up from the couch. You know exactly what you need. It's clear in your head, sharp, simple, obvious. You walk down the hallway, step into the next room, and it's gone. Completely gone. The thought that sent you here, the entire reason you're standing in this room, just vanished into thin air. You stop. You blink. You stare at the wall like it owes you an answer. You try to rewind your own brain, frame by frame, and there's nothing there, just static. And here's the part that feels almost insulting. The moment you give up and walk back to where you started, it comes flooding right back. Scissors. You needed the scissors, of course. This happens to everyone. Children, grandparents, surgeons, chess champions, people with brilliant memories, and people with terrible ones. It doesn't matter how smart you are, sooner or later you will stand in a doorway with a completely blank mind, wondering if your brain has finally betrayed you. But here's the strange part. Your brain didn't glitch. It didn't fail. It did exactly, precisely, what it was built to do. Scientists call this the doorway effect, and once you understand it, you will never look at a doorway the same way again. To understand it, we need to talk about how your memory actually works, because it's nothing like you think. You probably imagine your memory as one long, smooth movie of your life, a continuous recording, running from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep. One single, unbroken stream. But it isn't. Your brain doesn't record one continuous stream, because a continuous stream would be impossibly expensive to store and almost useless to search. Instead, it chops your experience into chunks. Scientists call these chunks events. Think of your day as a series of scenes in a film. Making breakfast is one scene. Driving to work is another. The morning meeting is another. Each scene has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And your brain is constantly, silently deciding where one scene stops and the next one starts. It marks those cutoff points with something called event boundaries. So what counts as a boundary? A change in time, a change in activity, a change in the people around you, and, most importantly for our mystery, a change in location. And a doorway? A doorway is one of the strongest location changes your brain ever registers. It is a hard cut, a clean edit. When you step through it, somewhere deep in your mind, a quiet voice says, "Okay, new room, new scene, new event." And just like a film cutting from one scene to the next, your brain takes the old scene and files it away. Now, that little thought you were carrying, go get the scissors. That was never a deep, permanent memory. It wasn't carved into stone. It was sitting in something called working memory, a kind of mental sticky note, held just long enough for you to act on it. Working memory is incredibly powerful. It's what lets you hold a phone number in your head, follow a recipe, or keep track of a conversation. But it is also incredibly small. It can only juggle a handful of things at once, and the moment it gets crowded, things start falling off the edge. And here's where it all comes together. When your brain crosses an event boundary, when you walk through that doorway, it performs a kind of mental housekeeping. It clears the desk. It sweeps away the leftover details of the old scene to make room for the new one. What was in that room doesn't matter anymore. What were you doing? Old scene, gone. And your intention, that fragile little sticky note that said scissors, gets swept away with everything else. You didn't lose your mind. Your brain simply closed one folder and opened another. The note was just inside the folder it closed. Now, this might sound like a nice story, a convenient explanation. But we don't just think this is true. Scientists have actually tested it, and the results are remarkable. A memory researcher named Gabriel Radvansky designed a clever experiment. He had people move through a virtual world on a screen, picking up objects, carrying them around, and setting them down. Sometimes they carried an object across a large room. Sometimes they carried it the exact same distance, but passed through a doorway along the way. Then he quizzed them. What are you carrying right now? The result was striking. People who had just walked through a doorway forgot what they were carrying far more often than people who walked the same distance inside a single room. Same distance, same effort, same few seconds of walking. The only difference was the door. The doorway itself was triggering the forgetting. And it gets better. This wasn't just a quirk of computer screens. Radvansky ran the experiment again in real rooms, with real doorways, with real objects in people's hands. And the effect held. Walk through a door, and part of your memory quietly slips away. But Radvansky pushed one step further. And this is my favorite part, he asked. If leaving a room makes you forget, does returning to the room bring it back? So he had people walk back through the doorway, into the original room, back to where the thought was born. And just like in real life, the memory often returned. Standing in the original scene handed the brain back its missing context. All the little cues, the couch, the light, the position of your body, they were all tied to that thought. Going back was like reopening the old folder, and there it was, right where you left it, scissors. That's why walking back works like a magic reset button. You're not retracing your steps, you're reloading a saved file. Now, here's the twist that changes everything. This is not a flaw in your brain, it's a feature. Imagine, for a moment, the alternative. Imagine if nothing was ever cleared. Every thought, every detail, every scene of your entire day staying fully loaded in your mind, all at once, forever. The breakfast dishes, the hallway, every word of every conversation, all of it, screaming for attention at the same time. You wouldn't be a genius, you'd be paralyzed. Drowning in noise, unable to focus on anything because you'd be focused on everything. By clearing out the old scene, your brain keeps you locked onto what's right in front of you. Forgetting why you walked into a room is the small, occasional price you pay for a mind that can actually think clearly. Your forgetfulness isn't a malfunction, it's the side effect of one of the most efficient filing systems ever built. So, can you beat the doorway effect? Actually, yes. The trick is to give your brain something stronger than a flimsy sticky note. Say it out loud. Scissors, scissors, scissors. Speaking the words recruits more of your brain. It turns a whisper into a shout, and shouts survive the scene change. Or picture it vividly. Before you even stand up, imagine the scissors in your hand. See the handles. Feel the snip. A vivid image is glued down harder than a passing thought. Or carry a physical reminder, the broken string, the empty cup, the envelope. An object in your hand is a piece of the old scene that travels with you. It holds the folder open, and if all else fails, you already know the cheat code. Walk back through the doorway, return to the scene of the thought, stand where it was born, and let the context do the work for you. So the next time you freeze in a doorway, mind completely blank, don't get frustrated. Don't question your sanity. Smile a little because your brain didn't fail you. It just proved how ruthlessly, brilliantly organized it really is. It saw a doorway, called cut, and rolled the next scene, exactly as designed. It didn't lose the plot, it simply turned the page, and your mind is full of strange, beautiful little secrets, like this one, hiding in plain sight, in hallways and doorways, in the gaps between your thoughts. We're just getting started. I'm Tak. Thanks for walking through this one with me, and I'll see you in the next room.